Hey, everybody, and look who I am. I just want to welcome you all to Comics Cast Let It Out. And I'm already having a good time because we did a little bit of a pre-show about like 5 minutes earlier. And special guest today is a returning guest. In fact, my number one guest, the very first guest for Let It Out.
Number one, not urine, but the first, not number one. The first.
Yes, exactly. Well, Comics Cast Let It Out is proud to welcome the return of Mr. Bryan SilverbaX. Bryan, say hello to everybody.
Thank you. Calm down, please.
Yeah. I know our audience is probably going crazy here because I know it was a trip down memory lane. Every time we have a milestone that Comics Cast reaches, my partner, Joe Tolliver, and I.
Comics Cast has been blowing it out. I mean, what, like February you guys started, right?
We did. We had a different name at that time. That it was known as
it was like Joe drawing in the morning or something like that.
Yes, Joe started. Yeah, right. Joe was like it was like Saturday morning drawings with Joe or whatever. Then it became Comics Arts, and that's where I actually was introduced to Comics Cast. Well, the future Comics Cast, and I was a guest. And you were a guest. In fact, we were both guests on that show. And later on, I joined Comics Cast, and it changed to Comics Cast. And I started a new show, and with my partner in crime, Jason. You were our first guest. Yes, yeah. So Jason and I were thrilled. We just couldn't contain the Silverbacks because that's one thing I want to say is that Bryan is a force of nature. The guy is a great. He's like, I want to say one of the most lively.
I'm a force, but I don't know if nature has anything to do with it. I think it's just I like getting shit done. I like getting it done fast, effective, and I like results.
Well, yeah, I think everybody likes results, and it's what I'm trying to say is that in the indie comic scene, at least the guests that I've been lucky to interview and get to know. You by far are the most unique. So I really enjoy.
Unique is the way to describe something that you don't want to necessarily put it down, but it doesn't work with everybody. Like you're like, oh, here, try this. It tastes good, and you're like, really? No, it's got a unique flavor.
Okay, well let me just clarify. It's an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Bryan SilverbaX here on the show, okay? Because I genuinely like this guy, and I think everybody's gonna love this episode of Let It Out because, like I said,
we have 3 things to do today.
We do, and we got. Just calm down because I want anybody who doesn't know the Silverbacks to get to know you a little bit. And that being said, let me pull up some banners here because I want everybody to go check out the links below here. Now, this is how you
started going on.
Yes, he does. In fact, we're going to get to that. Don't rush me.
I want to build.
I want to build up. Let me lead a little bit, like let it out, and then I want you to let it. Just get it out. Yeah, shitty. Okay, that was a little bit of a blast from the past. And this is what I'm telling you. You can't contain the energy here. Bryan is just exploding here. He's like really, really bringing the energy to the show. So let's calm down a little bit. Let's dial it down a little bit. And I just want our audience. I want to welcome our audience to see Mr. Bryan SilverbaX and check out these links below and get a taste of his artwork if you haven't seen it already. And like Bryan said, he does have a Kickstarter going on right now, and we will share that a little later on because I want to build up the intrigue. I want to have it's like a movie. We want to do the slow build until we can get to the climax and then the reveal. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, welcome to the show. So that being said, check out these things, and I'm gonna hand the mic over to you because I know you can barely hold on. I know that you really want to like just talk. So while you talk,
what do you want me to say? You want me to act like I've never met any of these people before?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though I'm sure there's a lot of return people that are going to come here because here we got.
I probably share this shit on my page.
If you want to, do you think that's going to be something?
If I'm going to be talking, maybe next time you talk, I'll do it.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to hand the mic over to you. feel free to talk about yourself, but give me a moment to pull up your PDF so we can show some of your artwork. Okay, so here we go. So go ahead and just narrate.
Hey everybody,
all right?
My name is Bryan SilverbaX, and I draw stuff and I write stuff. So this right here, this is a cover that I did for the Murder Hobo from Joseph Smolke and Jason Lynch from Scout Comics. This was a variant cover. In order to get this, they only printed, I think, 100 of these covers, and 100. They are $100 a piece. Because this was the #1 selling comic book. This was the first Murder Hobo that they put out through Scout Comics. This was the variant that got all the stuffs.
Oh, and this is one thing that I want to also add to this is that Bryan, you not only illustrated this, you inked it and you colored it, right? This is a one-man show. This is pretty much
quick. You know what? I almost forgot till you brought it up. I was working with Rich Woodall. Rich Woodall and I were going to do a Murder Hobo adventure, but he didn't have the time. So I was like, let's just do a cover together. And I said, Rich Woodall, I said, hey man, let's just do a Murder Hobo panel that's good enough to be a cover. So this was actually it was a splash page that we were doing for our story. So he kind of roughed it out. He did
the layout. He did like the rough layout, then I guess. The rough. I call it the rough, I guess.
It's supposed to look like Wolverine #1 by Frank Miller, like from the miniseries.
Oh,
so the one where Logan has his claws up.
Yes,
so instead of the claws, you got a big blue dildo.
Okay.
And instead of giving you the come here finger, he's holding up some anal beads. Like we just thought it was really fun.
Very cool. And this is what I like. I didn't know there was a little bit of an homage to this, but I was just impressed with the colors, and this is just showing Bryan's phenomenal talent.
I think that's probably one of the better colored pieces I've ever done. And I only learned how to color out of necessity because I just couldn't pay people that were good at coloring. So I by no means consider myself a colorist, but I colored this because I can't afford to pay other people to color it.
Well, nothing like it just jumping into the fire because you didn't quite have it ready to go. And look, we got somebody who's jumping in here, the surprise guest.
Well, let me go ahead and give David G right here.
Yes,
in the chat. David G is working on a very awesome project. David G works for Mad Cave Studios, and he does Savage Bastards. And and he is going to be doing his own project soon. Right. And it is going to blow us all away. And I've heard a rumor that there might even be some sort of anthology that leads up to the release of his. Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. But David G, you need to keep your eye on that dude.
I will. And we had a little bit of a technical hiccup, but it kind of like stole a little bit of the thunder of the surprise. But hopefully nobody saw that yet. We're going to reveal that a little later. But let's keep on going here. Because like I said about this, I looked at this particular piece, and it's just phenomenal illustration.
Kevin likes cool color. So the thing for me was like, I just wanted to be so over the top because I knew that this was going to be a rated R comic book. And I was like, what would like an alien dildo kind of look like? So this is a strap on. You can see that there's a strap on.
All right, cool.
Wear that.
Just a little bit too much information, but let's just keep on going. All right.
All right.
So keep on going. Let's go here because I want to get to your Kickstarter. So here we go to part 2, and here we have a fan favorite from the '90s, the Max and Image Comics.
I really like Sam Keith's artwork, and I really liked the character the Max when he went over to Image when the whole Image thing happened. I never quite fully understand how to draw the Max. So this was just me revisiting the Max. I think I did this last year, and this was just me trying to see if I still had what it takes to like. I just like the Max so much.
Yeah, he has a great following. Sam Keith is super talented, and what I like about this is it's a different interpretation. I think that Sam Keith has such a unique style, but when I see this on it, I recognize the Max, and it's SilverbaX all over it. I mean, it has a nice individuality, but it's still very recognizable about him. And then again, this is like cool illustration, and you did the colors. I mean, you did the pencils, the inks, and the colors here.
Both of this one and the last one were original pen and ink on paper. Like someone owns. Well, I still have the original Murder Hobo cover for sale, but somebody owns the 9x12 piece that I did that on.
Yeah, and that's that we're going to talk a little bit about your style too a little bit later on, but that's basically like I guess a introduction to what you do is you'll do traditional pencils, right?
I do hybrid.
You do hybrid, but in some cases what you'll do is okay, like maybe you'll do digital, but you want to do traditional inks, and what you'll do is you'll print that out on board, and then you'll do traditional inks, and then you'll bring it back into you'll scan it, and then you'll do digital colors. So that gives you lots of different. I remember I watched a lot of your videos, so I'm a student of Bryan SilverbaX, so that's cool about that style. Yeah.
Alton is great too. Alton has like Vampires of Vampires of New Jersey or something. Like Alton's killing it too.
Yes, that is true. Alton, actually, this is Alton. Love Loggerhead. And we're gonna get to Loggerhead too. I can't control this. It's like guests are like pushing me forward to like reveals, and Brian's pushing me forward.
Keep falling down, you monkey.
I know. I'm trying to get there. So let's keep on going. So here we go. We're gonna go to the next art piece.
All right, let's go to the next one.
The next art piece is here we go. So here we got the recount, and
all right. So the recount is another comic book coming out from Scout Comics, written by the amazing Jonathan Hedricks. Right. This is my cover for the first issue that you can get through Diamond. Well, you could have got. I think the FOC has already happened, but this was my Scarface cover for that book. It's gonna be badass, dude.
I recognize it, and this is really cool about Brian's artwork is that immediately it looks familiar, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then when you said Scarface, I completely know what you're talking about now. I mean, it has that iconic Scarface, the movie poster, and this fits completely into it. Yeah, it's Brian has his finger on the pulse of pop culture. Like he not only does really phenomenal artwork, but he does callbacks to like things that are very cool, that are things that we can relate to in terms of pop culture. I
do that on purpose, by the way. I do that on purpose because I want to strike as many audiences as I can. So if I can find an homage that I know a lot of people are really into, or that is easily recognizable, and then substitute it with whatever it is that I'm working on, so I'm trying to get the audience from the source material, and I'm trying to get the audience that likes the homage that I'm doing. So to me, it's just I'm trying to double down.
Well, nothing like that. I mean, if you can get the nostalgia feels as well as phenomenal artwork, that's only going to make your piece that more impactful and make people want to find out more about your work and ultimately buy your work. And that's what we're going to. We're going to keep on building to it. This is
so that piece is also still for sale.
It is for sale. So go check out these links. Go check out. Email him directly. You can definitely. Brian is the man. He can tell you about it if you want to purchase it. So here we go. We have another here. This looks like it could be something that we would see like almost has a street art vibe to it as well. Like it has a very like airbrushed, almost like something that you would see as a street art graffiti style, but it's definitely comic as well. Tell us a little bit about this.
All right. So if anyone knows me, I am a huge Insane Clown Posse fan. I really dig what they're doing with the music, and Twisted was / kind of still is part of the Insane Clown Posse family. And in the currently, Source Point Press runs a comic book called that discusses Twisted, and it's called like High On, I think is Highs On, something like that. But Source Point Press does a Twisted comic book, and I was trying to reach out to those guys and see if I could get some cover work through Source Point to do this. Like this would be like my way to get in touch with ICP, and they said that books doesn't have anything, but then the Twisted manager hit me up and said, hey, well, what about doing some t-shirt art? So I did these two designs of both of the members of Monoxide and Jamie Madrox of the group Twisted, and they're going to be official Twisted shirts available at their website sometime soon. So I got paid to do this, guys, for Twisted.
Oh yeah, it's
for me, it's like a venomized version of the characters that they portray.
Yeah, and this is something that I also want to talk about in terms of me getting to know Bryan and Bryan's story. Bryan is a go-getter. He doesn't wait for things to like happen to him. He makes things happen. He just described how he is a fan of the Insane Clown Posse. I didn't know the story behind this, but this is like a story that I've heard many times from Bryan in terms of he's interested in a project. He will actually like find a independent creator or a little known comic or something that he's really interested into, and he won't wait to like for them to like knock on his door. He'll knock on their door and he'll knock them out with crazy fan art, and that's how he gets his foot in the door. Is that correct? I mean, that
is exactly 100%. And it doesn't hurt to have people following you on social media that will also tag the appropriate people. Like,
yes.
So if just one person tagging, "Hey Twisted, I want to work with you. Hey Twisted, I want to work with you." It may not work that well, but when you have like 20 or 30 or 50 fans tagging you and say, "Hey Twisted, you guys need to check out Bryan because he's drawing some shit and he's trying to get with you guys." So stuff like that happens.
Yeah, and I think that's a lesson to all the up and coming independent creators that hopefully watching the show here, is that this is a way to be the initiator, to be
you have to give some shit away.
Well, it's this, you got to put your foot out there. You got to make your own. You have to make your own destiny. You can't just wait for it to happen to you. You got to be proactive. You got to be proactive, like Mr. SilverbaX. So let's keep on going here. We're building some intrigue here. Now this I looked at it. I'm like, is that My Little Pony? And I was like, I don't know this. You gotta tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit the story. Here
so there's an independent comic creator that does a satirical comic book called I'm gonna get the name wrong, but I think it's called My Little Venomous Nightmarishly Ponies and Their Magical Friends, or something like that. And what he does is he mashed up My Little Pony with the world of comic books.
Yeah.
And so he has ponies looking like comic book characters.
Like Carnage, right? That's a Venom. I mean, that's a Carnage.
Well, I'm giving you the whole fucking story, man.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, man, can I do a cover for your book? I've got a cool idea. I want to redo the first appearance of Carnage, but I'll do it with the characters that are inside your book." So I reached out to him. And he said, "Yeah, cool." So I had to pay, it was a buy-in thing. Like I had to buy all the copies that I was going to get done, but I did it. And he was like, "Oh man, that turned out great." So in his comic book, the Spider-Man equivalent is a cow and all the other guys are ponies. So I did that on the cover. And this is an homage cover to the Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's 361 done by Mark Bagley.
Yes.
Right? So I did my best to recreate the Mark Bagley cover with his characters, and it turned out great. I'm really happy with it. And then, fun fact is, Mark Bagley lives like maybe 3 neighborhoods away from me. So I actually have a slabbed copy of one of these issues with my signature and his signature, CGC graded at 9.8, with him, and he laughed at the Spider Cow titties.
Okay. That's definitely an interesting piece of art, and I definitely recognize the whole ponies and the cow thing. So, and it's definitely a unique piece here. And let's keep on going, because this is another piece that I actually witnessed you do live, and this is one thing that I really appreciated about this. And this is we're on this whole Venomized kick right now. It's very popular. A lot of fan arts that are going on the interwebs, and this I got to see. Come from a blank sheet of paper and to be digitally colored, and totally love this. And this is Stitch, obviously from Lilo and Stitch, that iconic Disney movie here, but it's been venomized. And the colors here, I mean, the illustration is very striking. Don't get me wrong, but and you say that you don't think you're properly trained as a colorist, but when I looked at this,
by no means.
As a colorist, I mean, coloring wise, it just pops. Great color theory. You got the cool colors in the background. You got the vibrancy that you have, obviously, in the venomized tongue here, and then you have this really cute ice cream. he looks very intimidating, but cute at the same time. That's very hard to balance. Tell us a little bit about this particular.
All right, so
drawing.
this was a commissioned piece. A very loyal silverbacker, Miss Christie, wanted this for her daughters to have on her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was all her design. She wanted a venomized Stitch holding an ice cream cone. Like that was her
her
commission
request.
And
okay,
I said, all right, well, let's make it happen. And then so
yeah, and you know what? People are digging this because somebody says,
David,
OMG,
it's coming.
Do you have prints of this, Bryan? I need this for my son.
I don't have it yet. Apparently, I have been shooting myself in the foot by not doing fan art at shows, and Bryan is jumping back on the fan art bandwagon. So here we go.
Yeah.
And put a Y in my name next time, jabroni.
Okay. And you know what? You also have a philosophy about fan art. I remember that you had told me is that fan art
I'm having to rescind that.
Oh, you are? Okay, because I remember you were telling me about how fan art does have its place, and it's great to get your name out there because I think I've mentioned this several times on my on the show with other guests, especially where they have their IPs as they're trying to get their name out there. Is that Todd McFarlane was very popular about saying, no one cares about your IP or your OC when you first come out, and it's your job to hustle to get it out there, and that's exactly what you're doing. And I remember you had said something about how that's kind of like you. Like you had, I guess at this time in your career, you kind of like said, well, you know what? I do fan arts every now and then, but I want to push my own IPs, my own OCs.
Yeah, well, also, what I've come to do, thank you, David. Also, what I've come to realize is that we can go ahead and scroll to the next piece, but is that Loggerhead is not paying the bills, right? So I need to, at the same time I'm doing Loggerhead and my KERRA Prime stuff, I need to also continue have fan art prints and stuff, and because not that I just have to pay the bills, man. So this like a venomized Jason print is gonna sell 10 times more than a Loggerhead print because the customers are familiar with Jason, they're familiar with Venom, but they're not familiar with Loggerhead. So I'm gonna get their $20 when I put this print online or when I take that print to a show.
Yeah.
So this right here was done because someone I had it in my head like, what if Venom took over Jason? And there a fun fact that I didn't have the confidence in myself to be able to pull this off, but I wanted to make it look like the Venom suit was putting so much pressure on the mask that it was causing it to break, like just from sheer pressure. And I didn't think I had the chops to pull it off. So I just elected not to put that in there, but it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think I remember you talking about this. I watched one of your streams about this, and this is again showing you how Bryan is everywhere on the interwebs. He was talking about like this came to you like kind of like in a dream or something like that, and you actually had to get up out of your bed and say, hey, I got to put this down on paper because it was so fresh and so visceral that you actually.
I needed to sketch it out I wanted to know what it would look like. So once because what I did was I got up and I just digitally sketched Jason Voorhees, and then I digitally sketched a new layer on top of that and kind of said, this is where I think the Venom stuff would come from. And then I just left it alone and I posted it online and I said, hey, here's something that came to me in my dream, or here just an idea I had. And everybody's like, oh man, you got to do it. 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 And then one day I was like, I'll do it.
It's incredible. And it speaks to like the energy that, it almost has kind of like it's like Dali-esque in the sense that you look at it, and I'm talking about Salvador Dali in terms of it being it has a very surreal look to it, but you can definitely see Jason, you can definitely see the Venom aspects of it, but it has that energy, that Bryan SilverbaX energy that I was talking about. And like we're gonna keep on going because I want us to get to the meaty part of this of your appearance here. But this rocks, and we're in the middle of Inktober right now. In October, we have lots of Halloween themes that are going on. You got to see Jason Voorhees in the last piece, fused with Venom. But this was a kick, but a thing that that was done, that Bryan did for Inktober last year. and it features not only Jason Voorhees but the whole cast of iconic horror
Jason
icons.
Voorhees and 30 other jabronis.
Yes. So many cool things here, and this is I just couldn't believe how cool that this was just a neat thing, because Inktober, I'm trying to do it, but when I do that, it's almost like when I do things, it's like a prompt, a drawing, a new prompt, a new drawing. You did a spin on this. You did one big drawing.
I had participated in Inktober for a couple of years leading up to this. The original Paint Pal spray cans were my very first Inktober, I believe. Maybe they were, but every day in October I drew a spray paint can doing cosplay, and I was like, golly, this is tedious. So the next year came around, and I was like, all right, I'll do sketch cards. So I did sketch cards for every day.
Right.
And then the following year, I found that there was another prompt list called Drawloween, where they had already had these lists of things to do. So I followed the Drawloween and I did those. But the thing was, I was doing all the work and none of the shit was selling. So I was like, well, I would sell 1 or 2, but I'd still have like 10 pieces for every 2 that I sold. And I was like, well, this ratio isn't good. So I said, what I'll do is I'll just make 1 piece and I'll just do 31 different parts of it. And then parts will be my Inktober. So like Chucky was first, and then it was Leprechaun was first, then Chucky, and then Timmy from Saw, and then the Trick or Treat guy, and then I just worked my way up.
Yeah, and that was the cool thing, because you're actually doing and not to take away from this piece, because it's phenomenal, and it's good because it's November. I mean, it's October, and with Halloween horror theme. But your new one that you're doing for Inktober this for 2020 is Masters of the Universe. And if anybody who's watching this, check it out, and explains Bryan's process. It's a slow build. He starts from the bottom and works his way up. So every day there's a new character, a new reveal, and it's just like I said, it's just like one of those things where you come back, you see a new piece, a new character added, and it just builds upon it. And I think it's a clever way. And you're talking about the whole business aspect. That's another thing I love about Bryan, is that not only is he the consummate artist, and picking up the triple threat. He can pencil, he can ink, he can draw, but he's always thinking of the business angle, the hustle angle, and how he can figure out, not only am I going to do the art piece, but how can I sell it, and how can I sell it so people will be intrigued, how people will just come back, continually come back to see an illustration grow. And this is what happened last year. So I encourage everybody to go check out those links below, and you can probably see.
I already dropped today's piece.
Oh, you did? So check out.
Today's piece we added Orko.
Yeah. So check
Orko.
Yes. Yeah. Well, if you're an '80s kid, how could you not know the whole Masters of the Universe thing? So I encourage everybody to go check that out. So here we're moving right along, and we're getting close to what I want to reveal here. So. Bang. So now we're starting. We were introduced to Loggerhead. If people haven't heard who Loggerhead was, and this was a thing that happened like I said, my history with Bryan in terms of being a guest on Comic Arts, which later became Indie Comics Cast. We were introduced to Loggerhead, and Loggerhead was I want to say he was the cornerstone of Bryan's career and his foray into getting into this larger universe. And Apex was another character that was going to be introduced.
Not don't use it in a past tense.
Oh, okay. Is Apex is. So I thought this was revealed already.
No, but you said Apex was a character in the universe, right? So Apex is he's in production.
Yes.
He lives and occupies the same world that Loggerhead does, and everybody in KERRA Prime kind of occupies the same world.
Yes. Well, I guess that's what I want. I didn't mean it in terms of he doesn't exist anymore. No problem. But yes, interesting character. Tell us. I'm looking at this, and he's an orca, is a killer whale.
Well, he is a human being who who mutated into a whale through some nuclear fallout stuff that happened over in Japan. But he's like a 19 or 20-year-old kid who just wants to play video games, right? But in this story, he's already transformed, but he's still just a 20-year-old, he's got a 20-year-old male brain inside of him.
Right.
So he just wants to play games and stuff. Well, there's an evil organization that wants to dissect the people that have turned into monster-y looking things and try to figure out the monster aspect. And so so he has been captured to be experimented on, and then he wakes up, and then that's where our comic book is going to take place to introduce this character.
And I think, because I guess it's kind of like instead of the bayou in Louisiana where Loggerhead exists, this is a character who's experienced the same type of mutation, but he's in Japan, right? And then it's telling that.
You'll have to, you know what? To
buy the comic book. Maybe that's what it should say.
The answers are in the KERRA Prime handbook that's live on Kickstarter.
Yeah, and that's the way to lead into it, because here we have our next piece, which is what we want to talk about now in terms of the Kickstarter and Bryan's larger idea in terms of like where his characters are going, where they've been, where they presently are. This is the universe of Bryan SilverbaX. So KERRA Prime, this is the name of it, and you can see the characters here. Tell us a little bit about what is KERRA Prime, how'd you come up with the KERRA Prime name, where does Loggerhead, just tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so let's see, how do I do this? KERRA Prime is just the name of the universe that I wanted to make my own Marvel universe, my own MCU, my own DCEU. I wanted to have a connected comic book universe, and I needed a name. It started out as Year Zero in 2015, but somebody scooped that name before I actually went into production, right? So I had to pivot, and I changed the name, but all the stuff, all the guts and the meat of everything stays the same. So so the name is now KERRA Prime, and it's just the world that we know is World War III has already happened on Earth.
Oh, look, we got a supporter. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
thank you.
Saeed. Yeah. Saeed. Yeah, thanks. Yep. Thanks, Saeed. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yep.
So wow, you just you derailed the train.
You were talking about KERRA Prime and the name.
So World War III has already happened, right? And once this World War III happened, that aliens were already living on Earth because, in the future that's going to happen, like it or not, it's going to happen, right? So aliens were already welcomed on Earth, but now after the war, there's all these different devil's anuses in the atmosphere. If you watch Thor Ragnarok, there's all those openings and all those portals that are in the atmosphere. So we connect to different timelines and different worlds and different universes. Then, so now, since there's multiple Earths, the Earth that we know and love is commonly referred to as KERRA Prime, so that we know exactly what Earth on what timeline we are on.
Yeah, and that's so cool. And
that's how I can have this array of characters, is because some of them have fallen through a portal. Some of them live in different planets that you can only get to through a portal. Some people live in space. Some people are from alternate Earths. It does so that's KERRA Prime is just the brand of everything that's going on here.
Yeah, and that's just like I said, another cool thing about it. And here, let's delve into it. Now, what I wanted to show is that these are the characters that you can go. You can look at all these characters, and it does have that Marvel for those old school guys like myself who grew up in the '80s and remember the official handbook to the Marvel universe.
That's exactly the blueprint I used.
Yeah, and that is what I want people to check out. And you can go to this Kickstarter link right here below. Check out the ticker and check out the KERRA Prime handbook. And this will give you guys a taste of the artwork that you can expect.
Are we close to the end? Are we close? All right. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about this handbook just really quickly.
Yes, please do.
So the handbook has these characters that you see on your screen and a couple of others that you don't see on your screen. And they all have a very unique backstory, which hopefully will lead you to want to hear more about what their adventures or where they're going to go or how things end up from moving forward. That's the intriguing part. But me as an indie guy, I want to help out other indie guys. So every one of these entries there's always featured another independent artist. And on each page it will tell you the artist that drew the artwork that's at the bottom of the page, and each page will contain more than one artist, so that we can try to get some of these guys some work. Like you're like, I really like the way that the loggerhead was drawn, and then you can look down at the bottom and say, oh, that loggerhead was drawn by Jason Ayer. I like his style. I would like to reach out to him and give him some fucking work.
Oh man, that's amazing. And you know what? I just got a thumbs up to formally introduce the special, the additional special co-host that's gonna, welcome Bryan to the show, and that is Mr. Joe Tolliver. Yay!
Oh,
yeah. So this is my my partner in crime here at Comics Cast, and when I told him that I was gonna have my first ever guest, Mr. Bryan SilverbaX, on the show, Joe wanted to get on here too as well. So Joe, welcome to Comics Cast. Let it out,
dude. Joe, you look like you got a fresh ass haircut. You look like Macklemore over there.
And Joe, your camera is muted. Can you unmute?
I'm back.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
I was dropping some more hot verses.
Yeah, so like, my daddy always said, always look like you don't need a haircut. Always look like you didn't just get a haircut. So
that's my philosophy.
No, but like this is fun. It's been a while. Like I'm over here swamped in production mode trying to build this app, and Gerald's been
app building. Damn.
Yeah, so we're app building now. Gerald's holding down the fort on Comics Cast, and we have to say no to some big guys that are trying to get in because we've got Gerald's more organized than I am.
I don't know about that.
So,
but,
so he's got the scheduled all the way out. I got Jimmy and others that are like, hey, I want to do a quick show, and I'm like, I can't. So we figured it out, man. But I'm glad
for future shows, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad that we got you on here, Bryan. Like I think I was doing. You guys were saying it was like a weekend show. I was doing. I think I did 16.
No, it was every day at 8 o'clock or something.
Yeah, it was every day. That's what started all this madness. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do fan art in the morning, and then Bryan gets on there and he goes, yeah, but I don't like fan art. People that do fan art are lame. I was like,
I didn't say that.
Oh, and I think you did, and that's the cool thing about the interweb. It's all on record.
There were some conflicting statements there. One minute you'd be like fan art, and then the next minute it's like, you really need to do fan art to get seen. And I'm like, what are you saying right now?
All right.
Oh, okay. We'll
anyway,
keep on this thing.
Make your own path.
Make your own path. But that being said, I love what you're doing with this, like opening it up for other creators, indie creators. Like, this is really cool. I want to check this out. I didn't know you were doing this. I just haven't had my finger on the pulse enough lately. But this is really cool. I'm doing the same thing, trying to get on board with certain production. I think I did something for a couple products recently. So
I saw that you did
get involved, man.
Roman fighting looking thing.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I can. There, check this out. I'll pull it. I'll show it to you. It was actually covered by. Check this out. Look at that. Look at this big boy. It's still here, man.
It's look how massive the art canvas is for this.
I can't even my room isn't big enough to show this.
Is that like one of the poster boards that you get at Walmart? Like
no, this is what is it? It's 19 by 24 inches on Bristol board, and it was kind of expensive. But yeah, like doing these sort of things, working like with Michael Odin and his project that's Indiegogo right now. Like, I think that's what everybody has to do. They got to find their own way, even when they're trying to do other shit, So I'm building Comics Cast, but I'm still an artist at heart. So I want to create stuff, get involved. So I will probably start spamming you here pretty soon, Bryan, since you're saying to spam people to get them on their projects. So I'm going to get all of my followers to be like, hey, you should hire Joe.
I've sometimes you just you have to put out. I'm not knocking you, but for anyone that's listening, post your work, because people want to see. That's your resume.
Yeah.
The more good shit that you're posting and the more good connections you get is going to make it easier. Like, I'm not talking about just commissions like fan art, but I'm talking about if you want to get covers, you want to get panel work, you want to get work, you have to be doing work. And sometimes the only way to do work is to give away a little sample. Why do you think those people at Walmart are handing out free pieces of cheese? Because they want you to buy the fucking cheese. So you have to give them the cheese.
I will never look at Walmart cheese the same way because I will think of Bryan SilverbaX whenever I see the free samples of cheese. Gotta get the cheese.
I'm saying that when I give out stuff. Who wants the cheese?
Who wants the cheese? It's been coined first here on Comics Cast. Let it out with Bryan SilverbaX. So, like that being said, let's keep on going because I want to keep on going with this energy.
We got stuff to do.
We do have stuff to do.
I do want to say one thing before we get moving on. Now that Armando's on here and we got Bryan on here, we got other creators on here. I really, really, really want to do a draw-off show where somehow we give away things to followers and viewers and stuff, and we get you guys to draw off, and whoever wins that wins cash money or the cheese.
Whoa, that is something
I
didn't even know about that. That's a new reveal here.
I just want to watch that show.
Yeah, I just think that'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to watch just awesome, like Jason going against Armando, like just.
If you were to do live drinking draws, that's where the money's at.
Yeah,
that's where the money's at. Watching people but it'd have to be your rated R show or whatever. But
I know it'd be our Friday shows. It'd be one of our Friday shows.
It'll be a Friday show after hours for sure. But
I don't think anybody wants to go against Death. He's pretty serious, man.
Yeah,
you got some people chiming in.
Yeah, we got lots of artists here, and that's the thing too, is that we also want to open it up to our audience. You know, when this happens, you know, we can do the independent creators versus other independent creators. But yeah, we want this show itself. We're about ready to go into our live drawing part of it, and that's what I also want to say is that we encourage our audience to draw along with us. You see something here that you like, we're gonna have 3 challenges today, just like we usually do. And I encourage anybody who's watching on YouTube or Facebook, just let us know. Do the artwork. We want you to go check out our the art show, which is our kind of like our little subgroup that's under Comics Cast. You can post there. We'll check it out, and we'll feature your artwork here if you draw along with us. And that being said, we're gonna roll right into the live drawing thing because, like I said, we were talking.
Just comment here when you post an art show. Let us know, and we'll bring it up on the show.
Right, and I knew this was going to happen, Bryan, because we're talking, and here we are at 1:43, and we're just starting our first live drawing. This show,
my grandkids are going to be here in like 30 minutes, so I got to get these damn things done.
We got to move. We got to move.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. So let me add.
No. I mean, I don't want to break the rules, but just know that at some point there could be a little cute dude come running down here. Oh shit, we got somebody else in here?
Oh no, this is just me and this is the art cam. So let me stop stop. Yeah.
Go ahead, tell us what we're about to do.
All right, so actually before I actually stopped sharing.
We got art cam before?
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about first who we're going to draw, because I just realized we stopped short of the next screen in the PDF. So let me go back in here, and the next one is going to be, bang, Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary is a character from the KERRA Prime universe, another creation, another original character by Bryan, and this is who we're going to draw. So this is kind of like the tease, and this is what she looks like. So this is going to be challenge number 1.
She wears a porcelain mask. And then she has like 2 bloody finger marks over top of her right eye.
Right. So this is what we're going to do is and as we draw, I'm going to put a little bit of pressure there on you, Bryan. If you can talk and draw, you can tell us a little bit. You can tell us a little bit about her, just enough to tease, because we want people to, like, when her book does come out, we want people to, or actually when they get the KERRA Prime handbook,
she is read a little bit about handbook, but her story, the story, I gotta switch my little camera thing around. The story that I'm writing for her is still in the infant stage. Like I've gotten pages, but I think I'm only 15 pages into the story.
Right. So this is who we're going to be drawing, and I want everybody to soak it all in, so that way we can do our own interpretations of it, and they'll know who we're talking about or who we're drawing about. So with that being said, let me stop this screen, and we're going to go.
How long do we have?
We have. Let me see. I'm going to start out.
Joe,
It is
Joe drawing on the ceiling.
I think Joe is working on his art cam right now, but for now we'll wait for him to pop back in, and we're gonna draw right now. So here we go. We'll start with drawing Bloody Mary, and it's 1:45.